Sagittarius, welcome to your monthly sidereal forecast for August 2015. My name is Athen. So we have a lot happening this month. Right at the beginning, we've got Saturn going station direct in that 11th house of yours, where he recently went in last month. So essentially, he had been here for about 2.5 years since the tail end of last year. And so anything that you've been working on for the past few years in regards to either groups, community, causes, deriving income from your work, satisfaction from your work, things like that, is what Saturn is helping you build structures in your life there, discipline there, so that now when he leaves this month, he's not going to be back in this part of your chart for another 28 years, 27, 28 years. So the important thing with that is that anything that you are, finishing up this month, Saturn's a big player. He's going to be squaring up to a lot of the fast-moving planets. So it's all about discipline and hard work this month. And for those of you who have a propensity to want to do hard work, then this can be a very productive month. But for those of you who shy away from that, I really do recommend putting in that elbow grease because there's a lot of things that can pay off when we do put in the hard work that Saturn does call of us. So it's involving a little bit of this 11th house in general. So again, getting involved with networking, maybe technological stuff. How can you enjoy your work more, give more, contribute to causes and ideals and visions? What are your visions? What are your ideals for society or for the world? And how can you align with that, maybe through career or otherwise? So whatever that is, reflect on this for the first couple days of the month, leading into the month, and you'll notice that direct energy. Perhaps there is a shift here once he goes direct, and a lot of that energy will start to move forward again. So that being said, on the 3rd, Jupiter will be squaring up to that Jupiter, so making that stuff quite optimistic, actually, I would say. Just stay grounded with it, because, again, it's a grounding sort of a month. But from Jupiter's standpoint, squaring up to Saturn can make things quite heavy and serious in regards to, in this sense, your 8th house stuff. Now, this 8th house is certainly activated for you. But you're very optimistic about this transformational energy. You've had Jupiter here for almost the past year, or pretty much the past year. So, now with him, he's going to be leaving your 8th, going into your 9th. So it's important here, as just like as with Saturn, is to put in any hard work with shared resources, with your bonds, your deeper connections with your relationships, the truth of the matter, sharing the truth perhaps, or gaining wisdom about truth. Maybe you're studying occult or esoteric kind of information with Jupiter and Mercury here right now at the moment. So whatever's been opening your horizons about the truth of life, the ebb and flows of life, really. Sometimes it's very, very, it's very deep, it's very truth, very, raw. Whatever that has been, making those, wisdoms or whatever it is that, you're involved with here, into a reality. Making those, visions and ideas into something that's grounded and very practical. That's what Saturn's urging you to do. And what's interesting is the way that'll most likely unfold is that since we have a 3-way conjunction here between Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus right around the 6th and 7th, Jupiter goes into your 9th. So there's a lot of excitement now transforming for you. It's almost like as if a lot of this stuff that you've been doing with like spirituality or whatever that's been transforming you, now it becomes transformed in many ways. Because we are talking about your ruler here, and anytime a planet goes from the 8th to the 9th, there is this feeling of transformation. So this can be a very transformative month for a lot of you in the sense that it becomes much more Sagittarian, which is what you guys are all about. So what I mean by that is Jupiter in the 9th is a very well placement for Jupiter to be in, especially for Sagittarians. So, and the fact that Jupiter's in Leo. So this is about optimism. It's about the open horizons, travel, expansion. These are the kinds of things that I really recommend for the next year. How can you open your horizons? How can you connect to people abroad, perhaps? How can you, and this is relating to home and family too, expand on that level? Maybe whether it's through traveling or making your home more expansive, doing things outdoors, reading more philosophy and spiritual subjects and astrology, things like that, that can certainly be emphasized for the next year. And that's where the opportunities are coming in. So the important thing is whether you're very optimistic about it or not, because of that Saturn square, be willing to work at it, take it seriously. And I think as long as you are open to working at it, then a lot of that expansion can become a reality, which is what Saturn and Jupiter together form, is the opportunities become a reality when we implement that discipline and hard work, which is Saturn, into those open horizons. So that's the shift there, right around that 6th and 7th. Venus going into your 8th does suggest that maybe you are reflecting on those deeper elements of life, deeper connections, deeper meaning of life, things like this, which are your values there, because we have deeper values in life, whether it's your work or relationships or whatever. What is it that you're really connected to on that, deep level? These are the things to ask, the kind of questions to reflect on with Venus retrograde in your 8th house for this whole month and going into next month as well. So that shift, and I think you should be quite optimistic, I think, about relationships and career stuff, because Mercury does rule those sectors, and will be conjoining up to Jupiter. But again, with that square from Saturn, it just depends on your personal birth chart and your propensity, a way of seeing things. But those opportunities are certainly there with those things, and also with your routine and group-related activities as well, since Venus does rule that 11th house. So that's the shift from the 6th to the 7th. And then at that same time, we do have a very nice trine between Mars and Saturn. So this energy here is very disciplined, actually. And so there's a lot of this constructive energy to be utilized this month. And this is in regards to those deeper things, again, whether it's the relationship or whatever. And your self-expression should be quite nice, I would say, since Mars does rule your 5th. And alone time, spiritual time, stuff like that can be very supportive as well. But in either case, utilizing that Mars energy, because it is available to get to the bottom of things, to figure out what it is, what life is truly about on that deep level. So that's that. And Mars, of course, shifting in there is going to emphasize that for the next couple months, 2.5 months of probing deeper, seeing the truth, etc. So that's the 6th, 7th time period. And then on the 12th, Mercury does oppose up to Neptune. So here there's this balancing act of the month, and this will be an ongoing theme actually for the next couple of months, of balancing all this expansion stuff, these open horizons, whatever they are for you personally, with the day-to-day stuff, because you've got Neptune here in your 3rd house. So there's been this, flow available, or at least, it's important for you to trust and have faith with a lot of the stuff relating to your everyday environment, everything that's within your close vicinity, your communications, your thought patterns, how you see things. It's important for you to have that, that surrender to the divine process in terms of how things are unfolding. And all of that, you're reflecting on it right now with Neptune retrograde, but balancing what you might call the very day-to-day or practical stuff with this adventurous spirit. And if you can find that balance, if you can find that middle ground between these two, then you can have both. And that's what the opposition shows us, is that these two houses actually aren't opposite at all. In fact, they're the same house. We just see them in duality. We see them as polarity. In other words, we can have more of this expansion in our day-to-day environment, and we can have a more practical approach to these expansions and that adventurous spirit. So some things to consider with that. And then with Mercury, try not to figure it out too much, because Mercury is a very rational planet, and Neptune is about feeling and intuition. So if you're trusting your intuition and being guided by that, then you're definitely in flow with this kind of transit. So that's the 12th, and then on the 14th, we do have that new moon in that 8th house. So there certainly are some new beginnings shaping up about those deeper things, deeper bonds, connections, shared resources, shared finances, how to free yourself from bonds that are not healthy, which can sometimes be, like financial, maybe like debts, or it can also be relationships and things like that. Learning to step into your power when appropriate. It just depends on you guys individually, but that stuff is coming to a new beginning. So reflect on this. The energies will be quite low around this middle part of the month, but there's a lot to be learned here during this time about who you are on that deeper level, and connect to that and accept that. And that's what the 8th house is really about. It's about seeing the truth and accepting the truth. And then once we accept it, then that's all there is. And then everything else just kind of unfolds, because it is a water house. And, it's the house of once we accept, then it flows, just like the 12th house of Neptune, or once we trust, then everything just flows. So that is the eighth house, which is very activated for you. Then all's quiet in the major aspects up until around the 21st, when we've got the sun shifting into your ninth house, at which time we'll be squaring up to that Saturn, of course. So the important thing here with this is that now your sun, your vigor, your life force energy, the ruler of that ninth house actually, going into the ninth, does suggest that there is a lot of passion and optimism, as a matter of fact, because that sun will be conjoining up to Jupiter a little bit later on the 26th. So that conjunction is very optimistic. Could be opportunities to come in to do things like, speak, share information, spiritual, religious things, do some traveling, university, whatever it is. And, it's very expansive. Just stay grounded with it, of course. Be willing to work at it. And like I said, as long as you're willing to work at it, then it can certainly come into a sort of fruition. And that's your vigor coming through transformation too. This is a better placement for the sun. Whereas the eighth house is very Mercury, it's about the deep, watery energy. Now you start to come alive, more passionate as the month unfolds, especially once the sun shifts in here around the 21st. And then at that same time, around the 26th, Mercury goes into your 10th house to conjoin up with your north node on the 28th. So this energy here is about your life path this year, which is about career and work, everything of that public level, which is about essentially your legacy and what you have to give and contribute back to society. So oftentimes it is things like career and stuff, but it can be, not necessarily for profit. So whatever it is that is the things you're leaving behind in this life, or your public image, is this whole year, is what this whole year is about. It's nothing that's happening to you, and you may not be feeling this personally because it is the north node, but that is the opening. And if you look, that's where the flow has been sort of taking you. So some things to learn about that, maybe putting in that practical energy with that, maybe even aligning relationships with your career and things like that, since Mercury does rule your 7th house as well. But whatever it is, around the 28th, I do recommend putting energy into and reflecting on these career or big picture related things. Then on the 29th, we've got Saturn going back into that 12th house of yours, where he's going to be for the next 2.5 years. So that's it. Anything that you finished up with those 11th house matters. This is a subtle energy too. This is, into next month is this kind of shift also. But anything that you did work hard with, the networking and stuff of that 11th house, or causes or technology or progressive things, that's it. He's now going to be going through the other parts of your chart now, and you won't be back there for another 27 years. So Saturn now in your 12th house is going to be for the next 2.5 years about disciplining the spiritual elements of life. So, and you've already got a good flavor of this because this is where he was at the early part of 2015. But now he's there to stay, and this is about that discipline, that hard work when it comes to getting that alone time, that tranquil time, spiritual time, and interestingly, how you can discipline yourself so that you can have more trust and faith and go with the flow, which might be through doing things like meditation or what have you. But, that's Saturn in the 12th. So that's the shift there. And then we have that full moon on the 29th in Aquarius. So this is a culmination point of a lot of this month, and the energies will be high here at the end of this month as well. And anything you did start relating to communication or learning or day-to-day stuff, which was Neptune, here facilitating this new, over the past 6 months, you had a new moon here. There is a high point of a lot of those things as well, where you can really understand the left's practical day-to-day stuff with the, this is left brain, with the right brain expansive spiritual stuff, and finding that middle path between those two, I think, is going to be key around this full moon, because you'll be able to see it very clearly and it will be illuminated for you. So that being said, that's pretty much the month. And then some things to consider into September is that Venus will be conjoining up to Mars in that 8th house of yours. So there is a lot of this prana, this passion, this yin-yang energy brewing in your 8th house of what's real about life. And you can certainly implement that. So all these values you've been reflecting on hopefully this month about, those deeper things, now you can put the energy into it. And with Mars here, Mars has already been here all month. So This is, good energy to work with when you're wanting to get down to the bottom of things, to be honest, truthful in your relationships, to be raw and real with yourself, things like that, so that you can enjoy life on that deeper level. So good energy to be put into that. Your self-expression, you should be enjoying quite well into September as well. So that's going to be going into the next month. And then also the sun is going to be opposing up to Neptune at this tail end. So re-emphasizing the importance of faith and trust with a lot of this 3rd and 9th house related stuff. So Sagittarius, have a nice month. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you'd like a personal reading, do check out masteringthezodiac.com. Or if you're new to Sidereal Astrology, because this is different from the traditional Western approach to things. So have a nice one. Thanks again. I'll talk to you guys next time.